Greetings, my name is Chastity, Selma, Jhingree, and today's topic is the midpoint formula. The type of problem that will be encountered by given 2 points, let's say 2, 4 and 6, 5, and we want to find the midpoint. We are given a Cartesian coordinate plane that has x-axis and y-axis. The x-axis is horizontal, left to right, and the y-axis is vertical, up and down. Coordinates are points that are written of the form x, y. The Cartesian coordinate plane is divided into 4 quadrants. In the upper right-hand corner is quadrant 1, x, y. In the upper left-hand corner is quadrant 2, negative x, y. In the lower left-hand corner is quadrant 3, negative x, negative y. And in the lower right-hand corner is quadrant 4, x, negative y. When plotting points x, y, x before the comma is the x-coordinate, and y after the comma is the y-coordinate. We begin with the x-coordinate that is read from the x-axis, and then from the x-axis we go up or down based on the value of the y-coordinate. For example, 2, 4 and 6, 5. To distinguish the 2 points, 2, 4 would be x1, y1. We begin at 2 and go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, which is this point. And 6, 5 will be x2, y2. We begin at 6 and go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is this point. These 2 points will now be connected by a line segment. In the previous topic, where we discussed the distance formula, this line segment will be the distance. Now we're going to look at the midpoint. What is the midpoint? Given 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2. And the midpoint formula states that x1 plus x2 all over 2, y1 plus y2 all over 2. Average of the x-coordinates and the average of the y-coordinates. Average is the sum divided by the total. Also, the midpoint is a point that is in the middle of 2 given points, x1, y1, and x2, y2. In our case, x1, y1 is 2, 4, and x2, y2 is 6, 5. We're going to substitute these 2 points into the midpoint formula, x1 plus x2 all over 2, y1 plus y2 all over 2. Which we then have 2 plus 6 all over 2, 4 plus 5 all over 2, which then simplifies to 8 over 2, 9 over 2, which we then have 4, 4.5. So the midpoint of 2, 4 and 6, 5 is 4, 4.5. Y is 9 over 2 equal 4.5. Convert fraction to decimal. Given a rational number, a fraction, and we want the decimal. Rational numbers are numbers of the form a over b, where a and b are integers and b cannot equal 0. The line between a and b is another way to represent division. So, 9 over 2 is 9 divided by 2, which is 4.5. More examples. Find the midpoint of given 2 points, 1.5, 0.4, and 2.5, 4.6. 1.5, 0.4 will be x1, y1, and 2.5, 4.6 will be x2, y2. We're going to substitute these 2 points into the midpoint formula, x1 plus x2 all over 2, y1 plus y2 all over 2, which we then have 1.5 plus 2.5 all over 2, 0.4 plus 4.6 all over 2. Since we're dividing by 2, it's best to write these decimals as fractions. Convert decimal to fraction. A point B, C, D, so on as many numbers you have equals A, B, C, D, so on as many numbers you have over 1, 0, 0, 0, The number of zeros is based on how many numbers you have after the decimal. For example, 1.5. 5 will be in the numerator, and in the denominator we have 1 0 after the 1, since there's one number after the decimal. The number 1 before the decimal is a whole number, which will be in front of the fraction. So 1.5 is 1 5/10, which then simplifies to 1 1/2. Also, 2.5 is 2 1/2, 0.4 is 2 5, and 4.6 is 4 3/5. Recurring decimal is another type of decimal that can be written as a fraction. A point BCD so on, BCD so on that keeps on repeating equals A BCD so on, BCD so on that keeps on repeating over 999. The number of nines is based on how many numbers being repeated after a decimal. For example, 0.1212 so on that keeps on repeating is 12 over 99. The number that's being repeated after a decimal is the 1 and 2, so 12 will be in the numerator. And because two numbers are being repeated after a decimal, we have 99 in the denominator. Also, 12 over 99 can be simplified to 4 over 33. Since we now know the fraction form of 1.5, 2.5, 0.4, and 4.6, we now have 1 1/2 plus 2 1/2 all over 2, comma, 2 5 plus 4 3/5 all over 2. We will now convert these mixed fraction to improper fraction. Mixed fraction to improper fraction. Mixed fraction is of the form A, B over C. Improper fraction from the mixed fraction is A times C plus B all over C. So for 1 1/2 we would have 1 times 2 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, so 1 1/2 is 3/2. Also, 2 1/2 is 5/2, and 4 3/5 is 23/5. Which we now have 3/2 plus 5/2 all over 2, comma, 2/5 plus 23/5 all over 2. Having these improper fractions in the numerator, we will now make them as one fraction by adding them up together. When adding fractions, we're required to have a common denominator, which we do have. Suppose we do not have a common denominator, what do we do? Adding and subtracting fractions. So for A over B plus or minus C over D, for A over B we multiply top and bottom by D. And for C over D we multiply top and bottom by B, which we then have AD all over BD plus or minus BC all over BD, which then equals AD plus or minus BC all over BD. Also in another case, we have A all over BD plus or minus C over D. For C over D, we multiply top and bottom by B, which we then have A over BD plus or minus BC all over BD, which then equals A plus or minus BC all over BD. Since we do have a common denominator, we just add the numerator and keep what they have in common for the denominator. So for 3/2 plus 5/2, we have 8/2 all over 2, comma, and for 2/5 plus 23/5, we have 25/5 all over 2. So these fractions are being divided by 2. When dividing fractions, we do the keep, change, flip method. So dividing fractions A over B and C over D, we keep the first fraction, which is A over B, change division to multiplication, flip the second fraction, which is C over D. C over D will now be D over C, and we multiply across, AD all over BC. So for 8 over 2 divided by 2, the 2 is understood to have a 1 in the denominator. So 8 over 2 divided by 2, we keep the first fraction, which is 8 over 2, change division to multiplication, flip the second fraction, which is 2 over 1, 2 over 1 will now be 1 over 2. We now multiply across, which we have 8 times 1 all over 2 times 2, which then simplifies to 8 over 4. 8 over 4 can be simplified to 2. Also, for 25 over 5 divided by 2, we keep the first fraction, which is 25 over 5, change division to multiplication, flip the second fraction, which is 2 over 1. 2 over 1 would now be 1 over 2, and we multiply across, which we have 25 times 1 all over 5 times 2, which then simplifies to 25 over 10. 25 over 10 can be simplified to 5 over 2. 5 over 2 is the same as 5 divided by 2, which is 2.5. So the midpoint of 1.5, 0.4 and 2.5, 4.6 is 2, 2.5. And here's the graph. If we are just given the fractions as our coordinates, we will just add the fractions and divide by 2. This process of finding the midpoint of these 2 points may seem tedious, but we may not have nice numbers, so we may require to use some of these methods when simplifying the numbers. Thank you for listening.